In the autumn of 610, Heraclius the Younger sailed his fleet into the Golden Horn, overthrew the tyrant Phocas, and was crowned Emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire. The new ruler expected the Sassanians to cease hostilities, assuming Shah Khosrow II's pretense for war had vanished with Phocas. However, believing he was close to an ultimate victory, Khosrow II ignored Heraclius' embassies and ordered his armies deeper into Roman lands. Sasanian forces smashed the Romans, capturing Antioch, Damascus, and Jerusalem. The loss of Jerusalem in 614 delivered a crushing blow. The Holy Sepulchre was burned, thousands of citizens were slaughtered, and the true cross was carried away to Ctesiphon. By 615, Sasanian vanguards reached Chalcedon, just miles from Constantinople. By 621, Sasanian armies subdued Egypt, depriving Constantinople of its vital grain supply and cutting off more than half of the empire's remaining tax revenue. Sasanian naval raids seized Rhodes and key Aegean islands. The Roman state was functionally bankrupt, its treasury empty, its soldiers unpaid, and its territories occupied. Desperate, Heraclius contemplated moving the capital to Carthage, but Patriarch Sergius and the citizens persuaded him to remain. In this hour of darkness, the Church stepped forward to finance the war. Patriarch Sergius authorized the melting down of centuries of gold and silver ecclesiastical treasures, chalices, candelabras, and sacred vessels from the Hagia Sophia, converting them into fresh coinage. Through this unprecedented act, the conflict was transformed from a failing secular war into a holy crusade for the survival of Christendom. Breaking with 3 centuries of tradition, Heraclius made the daring decision to take personal command of the army. In the spring of 622, after celebrating religious services, the emperor crossed into Anatolia to assemble a new fighting force. He gathered demoralized recruits and subjected them to rigorous training. Heraclius restored strict discipline, drilled his troops, and used religious conviction to forge them into an effective striking force. Later that year, Heraclius moved his army into Cappadocia, threatening the supply lines of the Sasanian forces in Galatia and forcing General Shabaraz to retreat. Upon discovering a Sasanian ambush, Heraclius feigned a retreat, drawing the overconfident Persian cavalry into broken terrain before turning to strike with decisive force. The Sassanians were pushed out of Anatolia. For the first time in over a decade, the Roman army achieved victory. However, a new crisis erupted on the northern frontier. The Avars broke their treaty and surged through the Balkans toward Thrace. Forced to suspend his eastern plans, Heraclius returned to Constantinople and sought peace with the Avar Khagan. In 623, during a peace conference at Heraclea, the Avars launched a treacherous ambush. Heraclius barely escaped with his life, disguising himself under a common cloak and galloping back to the capital while Avar raiders pillaged the outskirts. Swallowing his pride, the emperor agreed to pay a massive ransom and send high-ranking hostages to secure his northern border, finally allowing him to focus on Persia. In 624, Heraclius launched his grand counteroffensive. Leading a 30,000-strong army, he marched through Armenia and Azerbaijan directly into the Persian heartland. Taking Khosrow completely by surprise, the Romans captured the royal city of Gazaka. In direct retribution for the sack of Jerusalem and the theft of the true cross, Heraclius destroyed the famous Zoroastrian fire temple of Adur-Gushnas at Takhte Soliman, reducing the ancient shrine to ashes. In 625 AD, incensed by this sacrilege, Khosrow II dispatched 3 separate armies under his top generals, Shahrbaraz, Shahin, and Shahraplakan, to surround and destroy the Roman force. Outnumbered and facing complete encirclement, Heraclius executed a masterclass in operational maneuver. Exploiting the rivalry and lack of coordination among the Sasanian commanders, the emperor struck each force individually before they could unite. At Aliovit, Heraclius launched a surprise night attack on Shahbaraz's camp, scattering the Persian troops. Later, at the river Sarus, Heraclius personally led a heroic cavalry charge across a narrow bridge under heavy archery fire, shocking the enemy and forcing them into retreat. Although his tired forces were compelled to winter in Trebizond, Heraclius had successfully neutralized 3 Persian armies in a single season. In 626 AD, realizing that Heraclius could not be stopped in the field, Khosrow raised 2 massive armies, one under Shahin to engage Heraclius, and a 50,000-strong force under Shahbaraz, which marched to Constantinople to coordinate a joint assault with the Avars and Slavs. Heraclius divided his forces into 3, sending one part to defend the capital, another under his brother Theodore to engage Shahin, while keeping the third under his own command. In June 626, the combined Avar, Slav, and Persian besieged Constantinople. For weeks, siege engines battered the land walls, but the defenders held firm. The turning point arrived in August, when the Roman navy intercepted and destroyed the fleet of Slavic canoes attempting to transport Sassanian troops across the Bosporus. Unable to join forces with the Persians, the Avars broke camp and retreated into the Balkans. Meanwhile, Theodore shattered Shahin's army. To complete the victory, Heraclius intercepted a letter from Khosrow ordering the execution of Shahbaraz. The emperor slyly showed the letter to the general, prompting Shahbaraz to withdraw his army from the war entirely. With Constantinople safe and Sassanian strategy in ruins, Heraclius prepared for his final stroke. The emperor forged a critical alliance with the Khazars. Heraclius secured 40,000 steppe warriors for the Roman cause.